Have you ever wanted to know about your past lives or your future lives, or maybe just something really mysterious about life here on Earth or elsewhere in the universe? You wish you could just ask somebody the answers and they would give it to you on a silver platter, be like, here you go, you can have all this knowledge. Yeah, me too. I don't like not knowing certain things. Of course, life's a mystery, but there is a way to access this information that anybody has the potential to access, and it is through the Akashic Records. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Akashic Records, but mostly I want to talk about my experience going there and just the crazy things that I saw and experienced. So if you're interested in that, just keep watching. And if this is your first time here, hi, my name is Courtney and welcome to the Aurora Codes. On this channel, we talk about spirituality, wellness, holistic healing, all sorts of things like that. So if that's something you're interested, definitely subscribe. Okay, so I did a journey to the Akashic Records a few nights ago, wrote it all down in this journal, thank God, because if I didn't, I would have totally forgotten everything important. So what are the Akashic Records? The Akashic Records is a place within a different dimension. It's a higher dimensional energy that is like the library of the universe. It holds all the records of the universe, and anybody can tap into this energy, into this knowledge, and access it for themselves, whether you realize it or not. So for instance, if you're channeling, like I channel my spirit guides all the time, or like different beings, they can be giving you this information from the Akashic Records as well. So you might have been experiencing this for a while and you just haven't had knowledge about what it was. With the Akashic Records, it's like a living library. You can go in, ask any question you want, and receive the answer. However, I'll explain a little later, through my experience, I learned that there are certain things that you're not able to know at a certain point in time, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be open to you later down the road. So maybe you've heard some people talk about like lost civilizations and where Lemuria went, or what happened to Atlantis and things like that. And there are these people that might be speaking about this, but their stories are all very similar, and that's because they're accessing this information from the Akashic Records. It's like a universal consciousness that we all can tap into that holds the records of everyone, everything in the universe. So you could ask questions about different civilizations on other planets. You can ask about your own life. You could ask about the purpose of a certain situation in your own life. It's an amazing tool to gain higher wisdom, and I really recommend you try to tap into the Akashic Records because it is such a great place to experience healing and just deep understanding and wisdom, to be honest. Like for me, it gave me an answer I had been looking for so long, and again, I'll talk about that in a second. So with the Akashic Records, from my understanding and experience, you can access it in a few different ways. Some people will do Akashic Records readings, so it might be like a one-on-one thing and they'll read your Akashic Records. And when they're doing that, they're tapping into the Akashic Records through a channel. You can do that, or you can do what I like to do, which is doing a journey, like you're doing an astral projection. And I've done this two different ways. One of the most common ways that I enter the Akashic Records is through a guided meditation I take myself on, where I literally go within my third eye and come out, and through that journey I end up at the Akashic Records. And the one that I did the other night was that I tried to astral project there, and that's something I've been trying to play around with a little bit, and astral projection is something that I still struggle with sometimes. I've only done it accidentally a couple times, but when I try to bring myself to astral project, a lot of times I still don't feel that entire disconnect that I want to feel. So I'm going to share with you what I experienced going to the Akashic Records, and if I missed anything in this beginning portion and I want to talk more about it a little later, I will come back to it. I started out by laying on the couch. I had some crystals. I had one over my chest, my Lemurian quartz. I love to use this when I try to astral project or, tap into a channel or the Akashic Records, because I feel like it holds so much ancient wisdom. I used my Palo Santo and I just cleansed my space. And I listened to some meditation music on YouTube at the same time, just to really set the vibe, because when you're astral projecting or you are going on a meditation journey, it's so important to feel safe. And when I'm doing this, you know, I have programming that I'm not happy to have in my mind. I watched a lot of scary movies as a kid, so when I have intrusive thoughts like, oh my god, something's gonna touch my foot, like I always think about that, like when I'm in bed, or I don't know. If you watch Paranormal Activity as a kid, like you have that image of somebody like being pulled out of the bed. I don't know why that's like an intrusive thought that I constantly have. So when I go into a guided meditation like this, or I'm trying to astral project and I know like these compulsive thoughts just pop up as a way to, like, I don't know, stress me out, I call in my spirit guides. I call in a circle of light around me and my entire building, so my neighbors are safe too. You're welcome. Yeah, so I just make sure that I am fully safe. And when you are doing this kind of thing as well, it's important to fully be in your heart. Have your mind and your heart connected so that you are radiating love, you're radiating joy and happiness. Because if you are in a negative headspace, if you are having a horrible day, you can attract those energies on the other side, on the astral plane, which I like to avoid. So yeah, just make sure that your setting is super positive and you've done all the right precautions, you have saged and all of that. Not that I think anything bad's gonna happen, but it just, as above, so below. What's going on in your internal world is going to show up on the external world, even if that external world is on the astral plane. So one thing I wanted to get clear before I went into this journey was what I wanted to ask. And I feel like this is so me, but every time I get a reading, like a tarot reading or a psychic reading or anything, I always ask about my YouTube channel. And I wanted to ask a similar thing in this journey, but in a different way. I wanted to ask about the purpose behind my YouTube channel. Like, what is the bigger purpose? Like, I feel there's a big purpose to it. So I wanted to know if that was really what was happening, or if I just was like holding on to something so dearly because I love it so much. I asked if this is something that I'm meant to do, if starting a business around my channel is a good idea, and why it's been a little bit stagnant lately. So I found it really difficult to leave my body when I was doing this astral projection. I felt like I was almost about to fall asleep and I just couldn't get my astral body to disconnect, and that's where I have the hardest time when it comes to astral projection. I've only ever done that a few times, and again, it was accidental. But the only way I felt like I would be able to access the Akashic Records was by traveling to Earth University. Now you might be like, Courtney, you're crazy if this is your first time here. Like, what is Earth University? I made a video a few weeks, maybe a month back, that you can watch right here after this video, but I'll give you a recap. It is basically, I've been having these reoccurring dreams, and I'm not the only one because I know a lot of people are having similar dreams, where I travel to what I call Earth University, and there are hundreds of thousands of people there at the same time who are learning how to live life on Earth. And it's not like we're, you know, new souls learning to live life on Earth and then being born. It's us now going to this Earth University to learn and prepare for what's to come. And hundreds of thousands of people are there doing it every single night. And so I always have these dreams several times a week, and there's always this guide who shows me around the building. She has short brown hair and she has her little clipboard, and we walk around. She takes me from room to room where I have my lessons. So that was the only place that I knew I could go where I could access the Akashic Records from there. So this is where it starts to get a little strange. So buckle in, put on your open-minded hat, and we'll get started. So the way that I figured I could get to Earth University was by entering through an elevator. So I enter into this elevator and I'm on the 3rd floor, which is the 3rd dimension. And in my mind, I was like, I don't know what floor Earth University would be on. And these three beings enter into the elevator with me. One is like a lizard person. kind of cute though. He wasn't scary. He was probably like 6 foot tall. He was a little taller than me. There was a blue avian, if you're into like cosmic stuff, like a blue bird like alien, and then a little gray alien. You're probably like, I'm clicking off this video right now. But no, I was in the elevator and I just see them walk in and I'm just like looking at them like, okay. And they're very awkward to me. They look at me as if like they don't know why I'm there, or they didn't expect me to be there and they didn't want to scare me, is kind of what I felt like. So they were just kind of like keeping their distance away from me. I told them that I was trying to get to Earth University, but I didn't know what floor to get off at. And they said to go to the 5th floor. So now I know that Earth University is not on the astral plane, but it's in the 5th dimension, in case anybody else is going there with me at night. So once I hit the 5th floor, Earth University was right there. So I get off the elevator and I walk into the building, and the guide that I see every single night is there waiting for me. And this was where I actually learned her name, and her name was Sarah. Super simple to remember. I told her that I was looking for the Akashic Records, and she asked what I was going there to ask. So I told her my 4 questions. She said, "More YouTube questions again? We work on this every night." And I said, well, yeah, I actually want to remember the answers. How embarrassing. I'm embarrassing myself at night in another dimension. Okay. So as I was walking through Earth University, the way that anytime you're in like an astral projection, or you are, you know, lucid dreaming or doing some sort of journey, it's important to take note of all the details. So I was looking at my hands and taking note of all of the different lines in my palms, and I looked at my feet and was looking at what shoes I was wearing and the stones on the floor. I was seeing the ivy on the walls. All of this is done in order to make the vision stronger, so that it brings you out of your body a little bit more and more into the astral or into the projection. So Sarah ended up walking me over towards another elevator. This one was gold and it was round, like a cylinder, and it almost reminded me of like if you, I don't know if they still have these, but if you go to a drive-through at a bank, they used to, they might, I don't know, have these cylinder things that you'd put whatever in and put it in the machine and it would like shoot up. It was kind of like that. It was like a cylinder that was pressurized, and once you get inside, it like shoots you up. So I stepped inside thinking that the ground was glass, but there was no glass, there was no floor. I kind of shot down and then shot back up. And the pressure was so intense, it felt like you were on like some sort of really intense roller coaster where like your skin is like shaking and everything is shaking. And I was aware that as I was going higher and higher, it was like I was entering different dimensions. And my skin started to disappear and my whole body started to disappear, and I started to become light. But the light was rainbow. It was almost like a rainbow aura quartz. If you know what that is, I'll pop a little picture right here. Like I could just see all of like the lights within me, and that kind of, when I came out of it, I was like, is that my true essence? Like, am I just like this rainbow light in here? It was really cool. And I got off on the 7th dimension. I stepped outside and it was completely dark, and I started to get a little like scared. I could tell that there were like bushes and flowers, but it was all very dark and pitch black, and I could see off in the distance a building. And I think once I started to feel a little bit of constriction, a little bit of fear, my mind was able to project something completely different onto the space. I realized that I was in a dimension that was high enough where I could place my own image, project my own image onto it to make me feel more comfortable. So it became daylight. It was beautiful, super sunny and lush. It looked like the secret garden. It had archways and fountains and flowers, fields all over, and in the distance I could see the Akashic Records. So I start walking up to it, and once I open the door to the Akashic Records, I see it and I was like, it's smaller than I thought. So I walk down a few stairs, and as I'm walking down the stairs, I see it growing. like up, 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 up. It was like an illusion. Like it's as small as it needs to be until you're in it. And once you're in it, it expands and expands and expands. And it reminded me of like Harry Potter, where the staircases are moving and things like that. Like you're in it, and anything you need or want to learn can show up when it's needed. It's not needed to be there all the time because it would be freaking huge. There were these beautiful velvet couches and fireplaces and tables to the side. There was also like administration's kind of desk with some beings back there. But I could also see on the left side when I was walking in on the couches, there were other beings in there that I couldn't perceive. I could see like fuzzy light, but I couldn't see any, like I could see myself as light, but they were just like very faint, you know what I mean? So I couldn't really see them or see what they were doing, but I knew they were there. And a human ends up coming down, and his name was Sivan. He was like the cutest like person ever. And it's funny how I think I projected the image of somebody I would feel so safe with to take me around this place. So I think I projected that onto whoever this being actually was. So he asked me what I came to the Akashic Records to learn, and I told him my questions. And so we went to this big filing room, and he found my file, pulled it out, and he pulled out a wooden box with a key. We went down to sit at a table in the lobby, and I said, like, what is that? What is the file? Is that like all my records? It's like this big. He said, no, this file tells me whether or not you're able to access the answer to your question at this point in time. And thankfully, it said I was, except for a few key details I wasn't able to know, but that's fine. So from there, we were able to go to my entire Akashic Records room. So that tells me that when we have a question about ourselves, we're able to learn certain things about it. But depending on the timing, you might not be able to receive the answer that you're looking for. You might not be able to receive the full answer. You might just need to ask it in a few years to get like the full scope of it. Also, I got the understanding very quickly just that you should not ask about anybody else if they're alive without their permission. That's like I never tap into anybody's energy without their permission or without their higher self's permission. Okay, here I said, I get the feeling you can learn about anything in the history of the universe except your own future to a certain extent, which is interesting. So Sivan and I end up walking up this huge staircase like Harry Potter, and it takes us to my Akashic Records room. So I think the Akashic Records is so big that everyone in the entire universe has their own room within it that you can access. So we opened the door, and when you walked in, it was like the best library you could possibly imagine. I was like, yes, I must have designed this place because it's so perfect. Like there were huge arched windows at the back wall where you could see out of. There were like telescopes, like gold telescopes. They were like velvet and leather chairs and tables, and oh my god, it was just so beautiful with like the ladders that like slide against the library walls. So perfect. So when I walked in there, I was meant to ask my question to the room, and the books fell in front of me with my answers. It's also important to note that my spirit guides, like several of them, were standing behind the couch, so they were in there with me as well. So I'm sitting on the velvet couch, and there is a big long table in front of me and a chair on the other side, and Sivan is sitting in that chair. And he has my books like this, and he's the one who's giving me this information. So I said, so what about the purpose behind my channel? And I'm just going to read a little bit of this because I talked about it in my last video, just a tiny bit, but I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's so personal and meaningful that I don't want it to be on the internet. But yeah, okay. So there's a reason you've been called to do this since 17. You need to be doing this. The reason it hasn't been growing is because the content you make has to be aligned with your consciousness. You've been making content from your ego, whether you realize it or not. When the ego is in charge for you, you will not see results like other people. You are led by consciousness. Every piece of content you put on YouTube needs to be not what you will think will get views or what you think your audience wants to hear, but what you know they need to hear, and share what you are learning and are called to make a video on. They are ready to learn about how to connect with their spirit guides, about life elsewhere, about magic. They're waiting for you to unlock those codes within them so they can move forward on their journey. And then, yeah, there's just like a lot more information and like some dates and things like that, which is really cool. So I'm glad I wrote it all down here. Then I started to backtrack down into my body. It was so beautiful and I'm so grateful. So that was my experience going to the Akashic Records. It was really cool. It was really insightful. I have accessed the Akashic Records before, but not like that. I normally, when I go, I ask about, like I was saying earlier, like the universe, different, mysteries that I want to know the answers to. But I don't know why I've never thought to ask about my own life. Like, it never crossed my mind. Now that I know that I can do that, and I have experience doing it, I'm really excited to tap more into my own potential through the Akashic Records. And I think what I want to do, like I keep saying, I'm going to make these guided meditations for you, and I'm working on them. I'm working on my website as well to host them, because I have created a few actually. I'm going to create as well a guided meditation to help you get to the Akashic Records if you want to access information for yourself like this. I hope you enjoyed this video, a little casual in my new little setup here. I'm trying to, make a little space for me to film and feel like really relaxed and comfortable. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want me to make a video on how exactly to get to the Akashic Records more in depth than this in conjunction with that guided meditation, let me know. And leave a comment letting me know what you would ask or if you've ever been before. I'm so curious. Subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you guys very soon with another video. Bye!